It is 2:03 in the morning on April 1st, 2021, and I just found out that I have coronavirus.
Well, this is definitely not how I anticipated my first ever YouTube video going, but I do feel a responsibility to speak on this topic given that it is happening on such a large scale throughout the entire world right now. And with all of that being said, my name is Soph for those of you that may not know me, and I'm a 19-year-old car accident survivor from the state of Michigan. I'm also diagnosed with a chronic illness known as vasovagal syncope, which is a blood pressure disorder that causes me to faint and fall unexpectedly periodically throughout the day. And I think with all of that information, we are ready to get on to my COVID story. Alright, so just a little backstory for you guys. I got in my car accident in December of 2019, and I was diagnosed with syncope in January of 2020. So, since that whole diagnosis car accident thing, I had been really scared to go out. I was scared to go out because of my condition, and then when we added COVID on top of that, I was just kind of all around terrified. I really was scared of how my body would react in a new environment, and I was also really scared of getting coronavirus. But with that being said, my mom and my stepdad finally convinced me to go on a multi-part road trip. The only reason I agreed to go on this was because it included getting to see my biological sister and my stepsisters, my service dog, and some family that I hadn't seen in a really long time. The first couple days of the trip were great. We started by going to southern Michigan and hung out with my sister there for her birthday. From there we went to Ohio and I got to meet my service dog Cinder, which was literally the most incredible experience of my life. I can't even express how amazing it was. And then from there, we went to Indiana to visit my stepdad's mom and some of his family members. The first 2 days in Indiana were great, but when I woke up on the third morning, something in my body just really didn't feel right. I had a headache and fatigue, which is not strange for me at all to have with vasovagal syncope, but what was really unusual was the fact that I had a really sore throat and a really congested nose. My mom and I kind of put it off as allergies, and I packed my stuff and got in the car because that day we were leaving from Indiana to go to Louisville, Kentucky. Once we got to Louisville, we were supposed to go out with 2 work colleagues, but I felt so awful that I decided to stay at the hotel when my mom and my stepdad went. And that is when things kind of took a turn for the worse. At approximately 6:40, I woke up and I was absolutely drenched in sweat. And that is saying something because I very rarely sweat. I was so hot that the only thing I could think to do was go into the bathroom and lie down on the cold tile. So that's exactly what I did. At that point, my body started feeling like it was on fire and I started screaming in pain. I called my mom and told her what was going on, and they left dinner early and got to me as soon as they possibly could. When they got there, my mom immediately wanted to call 911 because she said that I was a green color and that she could just tell that something was really off with me. And at this point, I was pretty out of it, but I had known something was really off the entire day. Before we did anything too crazy, we ended up having me try to eat something just to see if that would help balance things out, but that was unsuccessful, so at that point we did call 911. The first responders came and then the EMS drivers came, so there was a pretty big group of people gathered in a very tiny hotel room. And they did some basic tests. They checked my blood glucose, they checked my heart, and basically this is actually the EKG they did that night. They left in the hotel room, so I kept it because why not? But they discovered that I was tachycardic, which is just me having a very fast heart rate, and my blood pressure was unusually high for me. As somebody with vasovagal syncope, I tend to have a very low blood pressure, so that was really unusual. So just because of all of that and my condition, we did decide to go to the hospital, which was about a 10-minute ambulance drive away. At this point, I was getting pretty worried about myself, and COVID did cross my mind. However, when we got to the hotel, everybody assured me that I did not have it. They said that it was just a syncope episode. They said that it could just be allergies with the weather kind of acting up, but I insisted that they get me a COVID test because I just knew that something in my body was terribly wrong. And sure enough, after I got some fluids and some pain medicines and all of that fun stuff, they came in and they told me, you have tested positive for coronavirus. And at that point, I was honestly shocked. I got home, back to the hotel, and I was an emotional wreck.
I have no idea how this virus will affect my body or affect my life going forward.
Knowing that you have a virus that has killed several million people is just not a comfortable feeling at all. And at this point, I was about 11 hours away from home too. So we had to figure out how we were going to transport me, as sick as I was, all the way back up to Michigan. We handled everything as best as we could given the obviously very difficult situation we were in, and we did finally make it back home, where I started the very painful and very long recovery process. For the first 5 days, I was in really rough shape. I could barely breathe. I had an awful cough. I had body aches so bad that no amount of Motrin or Tylenol that I could possibly take would even begin to touch the amount of pain that I was feeling. I could not breathe out of my nostrils because I was so congested. My throat felt like it had pins and needles in it. It was awful. I could barely keep my head up on my own because it just felt like it was 1,000 pounds because my headache was so bad. And I literally, all I could do was sleep for about 5 days. Around day 6 is when I kind of started to feel like myself again. I started getting out of bed more, making sure that I was taking a shower every day, making sure that I was eating better, and that's kind of when the recovery process really started for me. As I am sitting here filming this, it has been 16 full days since my diagnosis, and as of right now, I am doing perfectly fine. I'm so grateful for that. I thank all of the doctors that helped me in Louisville and all of the doctors that continue to help me up in my hometown. And overall, I'm just extremely grateful that I was okay. I came out of it and I'm better, which is great because a lot of people do not follow the same recovery path that I followed. With that being said, my 3 best friends during this entire thing were my blood pressure cuff, my thermometer, and my oxygen monitor. All 3 of these things were pretty crucial to monitor COVID and a chronic illness because any spike or drop in any of these levels would have required me to go back to the hospital, but thankfully that never happened. I was able to keep all of my vital levels at a steady level, and that was extremely beneficial for me in the recovery process. I want to end this video by saying that although I know we're all kind of sick of having to wear masks and dealing with this whole pandemic, please continue to follow the rules because not everybody is as fortunate as I was. There's a lot of people in my position that have not made it out from COVID. And it's our responsibility as citizens to do as much as we can to protect those around us. So please wear your mask, follow CDC guidelines, and do everything you can so we can get back to normal as soon as possible and protect those around us. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my COVID story. Please let me know what else you guys would like me to do on this channel since we have a whole new platform to work with now. I'm not sure how often I will be posting on here, but if you guys want to interact with me more often, you can follow me on Instagram at Sophie_Cranny and on TikTok at SophieCranny. I love you guys so much. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications, and I will see you next time. Mwah!